Once again, my name is Angela McCrae, the Executive Director of the Association of African American Vintners. Our organization actually advocates for Black winemakers and vintners. So if you enjoy a glass of wine for your nightcap, just know that there are a percentage of Black entrepreneurs and winemakers that are part of this growing industry. I'm actually excited to speak with our panel today because the work I've done with the HBCUs and also to honor some of our members that are also part of the distinguished fraternities and sororities that you will be meeting today. I want to welcome you to this important discussion on the legacy of the Divine Nine in California. Right now, I'm based in Playa Vista, which is on the western side of Los Angeles. So I'm excited to be in California, in the state, to be joining the conversation. We're here because this year during Black History Month, AARP California wanted to bring awareness to the efforts of Black fraternities and sororities in California and how their efforts in communities across the state impact us and all the individuals like yourselves living, working, and playing in the state. AARP California theme for Black History Month is We Thrive Together, which will be evident in our conversation today. Although there are various organizations present, what everyone is doing brings communities together for the benefit of the residents. We encourage you to type in your questions in the chat as we move along in our discussion. Now, before we get started, we have a couple of poll questions we would like you to respond to. The first one is, do you know what the term Divine Nine means? Now, let us know. This isn't a trick question. So let us know in the chat. Take the poll. As you can see, the Divine Nine opening poll is up. So we want to see how many of you guys know what Divine Nine means, because we want to make sure that we have a good sense of the understanding of what this term means from before this conversation to after. Now you could choose either yes, no, maybe, and this will let us know how informed our members, the AARP members and audience joining us is familiar with the Divine Nine. Now, I remember when I went to a HBCU, Morgan State University, and that was my first introduction to Divine Nine. And, the campuses are always full of them. And it was the beautiful colors, the benches, and all of the pride that was a fabric of our culture on campus thrived with the Divine Nine. All right, so it looks like we're at 88% of our participants has completed it, and it looks like over 58% knows what Divine Nine is. Well, congratulations. That's going to make all of our jobs easier throughout this conversation, but then also it's going to allow us a great opportunity to chat more about what this Divine Nine group does, and also understanding some of the organizations that exist in there. Also, the second question is, are you aware of Black fraternities or sororities in your community? Now, it looks like some of you have already started answering that question. So this is primarily around the conversation of no matter what part of California you're in, even if you're outside the state, do you know of any of the groups that exist in your local community? Let us know. Right now, I see 61% is aware. That's great. That's great. 28% is not aware. So hopefully after this conversation, we'll be able to allow you to find resources on how you can connect with the local Divine Nine communities in your area. Now, I think it's time for us to move on. Now, I'm ready to go to our panel so we can learn more about what Divine Nine means and meet some of these organizations. Now, let's get to our panelists. Joining us today for the important discussion is Trena Lee Knight from the National Pan-Hellenic Council, Los Angeles, where she's the president. We also have Vennice Terrell from Zeta Phi Beta, Bennett, Izeh from Iota Phi Theta, and Sidney Jackson Jr. from Phi Beta Sigma. As we get into this conversation, please use the chat to drop in any questions, comments, reactions, or more. And you can always use your reaction button to respond to things as well. We always love to see that engagement. Now, let's start with Madam President Trena Lee Knight. Since our question, our first question we asked is whether you know the term Divine Nine, we believe that Trena would be the best person to get that conversation going. President Lee Knight, can you tell us about the National Pan-Hellenic Council and how you've worked and continue to work with Black fraternities and sororities in California?
Most definitely. Good afternoon, everyone. So the National Pan-Hellenic Council, incorporated, known as NPHC, is currently composed of 9 international Greek letter sororities and fraternities. Thus the term Divine Nine. It consists of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, which was founded in 1906 at Cornell University. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, founded in 1908 at Howard University. Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, founded in 1911 at Indiana University. Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, founded in 1911, also at Howard University. My sorority, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, founded in 1913, Howard University. Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, founded 1914 at Howard University. Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, founded in 1920, also at Howard University. Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, founded 1922, Butler at Butler University. And then we have Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated, founded in 1963 at Morgan State University. So the National Pan-Hellenic Council, also known as NPHC, was founded May 10th, 1930 at Howard University in Washington, D.C. The chartering organizations were Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, and Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. In 1931, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated and Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated joined the council, followed by Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated in 1937. The NPHC incorporated under the laws of the state of Illinois in 1937, and Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated joined the NPHC as its 9th affiliate member in 1997. And the purpose of the NPHC shall be to foster cooperative action of its members in dealing with matters of mutual concern. To this end, the NPHC promotes the well-being of its affiliate fraternities and sororities, facilitates the establishment and development of local councils of the NPHC, and provides leadership training for its constituents. That's just a little history of the NPHC. I am serving as the president of the Los Angeles chapter, known as NPHC LA. So, yes, I'm a member of the local chapter known as the National Pan-Hellenic Council, Los Angeles, or NPHC LA. The NPHC LA is composed of the Divine Nine organizations that I listed earlier that are located in Los Angeles County. Our purpose is to consider questions, problems, and programs of mutual interest of its members, to facilitate and coordinate intra-council educational, civic, cultural, and social activities. Some of the activities we've done are, we have partnered with our members to provide voter awareness and voter registration. We partnered in a social action forum hosted by Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated during their 93rd Far West Western Regional Conference. The discussion centered around the Black agenda with a focus on voting rights. We have participated in the Long Beach Juneteenth celebration, where we had the opportunity to educate the community on who we are and what we do as the NPHC, as well as showcase the individual organizations that comprise the NPHC LA, many of whom were able to speak with parents and youth about their youth programs, as well as other programs they sponsor. We have worked as a partner at the Gridiron Celebrity Hoops fundraiser benefiting Julie's Kids, a charity whose mission is to protect, empower, and enrich the lives of vulnerable youth placed in foster care and child protective services. We also represented at the first ever Alabama State University HBCU Community Day by educating the community on who we are and the wonderful work that our individual organizations do. And then we also give scholarships to our membership that they in turn disseminate in the communities that they serve. Most importantly, the NPA-CLA supports the activities of the individual organizations, as more can be accomplished when we join and work together for a common goal than we can alone. So that's just a little bit of the history of NPHC, as well as some of the activities that our local chapter, NPA-CLA, is doing as well.
That's awesome.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's awesome, and that's great that you were able to provide us some great context around that.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Are there any questions?
Now's the time for anyone to have any questions to put them in the chat. If you have any questions for Madam President of NPHC, please let us know in the chat. Are there any members? Oh, we have a member from San Diego. Dr. Donna Dudley. Awesome. I do have a question for you, President Lee Knight, before we.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, we have a question. There goes Donna.
Yeah, I'm the president of the National Pan-Hellenic Council, San Diego.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Did you have a question for President Lee Knight?
No, and you just mentioned I was on, so I just wanted to say hello to everybody.
Awesome.
Hello.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm a member of DST San Diego Alumni.
Oh.
This is awesome. This is awesome. This is how the community works, right? You see someone from another, even if you're in another city, this is how it works. It's all community and love. Now, thank you, President Lee Knight, and thank you, Dr. Dudley, for representing NPHC. Next up, we have Vennice Terrell from Zeta Phi Beta. Vennice, can you please share with us how the Zetas have and are continuing to have a positive impact in your community? I think you're muted.
Okay.
There you are. Oh, you're muted again.
Muted again.
You're muted again.
It keeps going. There's a thing keep popping up that does that. Not me.
Okay, you're good now.
Okay. Don't push anything, anybody. First, I want to pay homage to our 5 founders who paved the way for us to be where we are today. We have been around for 103 years. Scholarship, service, sisterhood, and finding womanhood is our motto. We have 8 regions, but we're going to talk about the Pacific region, the region that we are in right now. The Pacific region has been around since 1933. Recently, we participated in the Black History Parade in Pasadena. Hope you guys saw us. And we participate in the fraternity games. And let's not talk about that, guys, but we do participate with the fraternity games. We did a Halloween event with the Ronald McDonald House. Mm-hmm. And we did a Hallowed Be Thy Night at the First AME Church for Halloween also. They did a Treat for Trunks. Let me see. We participated in a Black Infant Health, mm-hmm. where we donate diapers. There's something on here. Okay. Where we donate diapers and other baby items. We have partnered with the March of Dimes for over 50 years, and we have been the #1 donor of the Divine Nine. Had to put that out there. Let me see. And we supported our soror, Sidney Jackson for Congress. That is our sorority sister. We have a prematurity month in November. We work with the American Cancer Society. We sent water to, partner with St. Jude to send water to Mississippi. Let me see. And we had a webinar with the Alzheimer's Association. We do scholarships for the Pasadena City College. We give out every year. We give scholarships out. Okay, 8 minutes up yet?
You know, you're doing great, because one of the things that I keep hearing is Pasadena, and I've actually celebrated and did some stuff with the HBCU California Alliance with Nicole Miller out there in Pasadena, and she would do her annual, it was like an expo kind of vibe that she would do there, the reunion, the HBCU reunion. Were you guys present at any of those over the years as well in Pasadena?
No, my charter, Theta Iota Zeta chapter chartered in 1976.
Mm-hmm.
Then it rechartered in August 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, so we reactivated it. So we're back in the community. So look for us.
Well, congratulations. It sounds like you've been doing quite a bit since the reactivation. So it sounds like you're busy out there in Pasadena.
Yes, we are. I have more, but I didn't want to, everything.
Well, I'm sure it's inspiring, right? It's inspiring, and I'm sure it's probably given some of the other chapters some inspiration, as well as some of the audiences, and identifying how the sororities and fraternities are really taking advantage of community building and providing resources, from healthcare to family services to education and all of those things. And
we also work with Friends in Deeds. I know you heard of them.
Absolutely. Well, Vennice, thank you so much. We really appreciate your presentation and participating and being here with us. Now, remember, for all you guys that are watching, if you have questions, comments, or reactions, make sure you use the chat, also the reaction button. So if you've attended any of the amazing events that's being mentioned, if you're familiar with some of the work that they're doing, and let us know in the chat. Next up, we have Bennett Izeh from Iota Phi Theta. Bennett, welcome. Can you please inform us of the Iota Phi Theta organization and its impact in your community?
I most certainly will. Good afternoon and good afternoon to everybody. And to the lovely ladies of Zeta Phi Beta, you always mention Pasadena. I actually live in Pasadena, so I am aware of a lot of the remarkable things that Zeta Phi Beta does contribute to this community. Getting on to my organization. Again, good evening. I'm Ben Izeh, and I am a proud member of Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated. My local chapter is Gamma Gamma Omega. Here in California, our region is called the Far West region. Has many organizations. The Far West we wear it as a badge of honor, because a lot of the historically Black colleges and a lot of our founding is all out east. And so for our lovely moderator, she actually went to undergrad where my wonderful fraternity was founded. Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated was founded September 19th, 1963 at Morgan State College, which is now known as Morgan State University. Shout out to all my HBCU grads, because I went to HBCU. To that point, we have 12 wonderful founders. To discuss the background and the uniqueness of my organization, all of my founders were non-traditional students. Most of, if not all, were actually significantly older. Many had actually been in support in the wars, and they had come out and they wanted to get an education. In 1963, as many of you all are aware, a lot of things transpired in the civil rights movement. My fraternity, being founded during those time frames, was very active in that movement. So when we're looking at some of the achievements or some of the the actions in which my organization contribute to the Divine Nine, I do want to highlight that attribute of how we fought for civil rights. And I'm not saying that none of the other fraternities did. I'm just speaking about mine. And especially since we were founded during that time frame.
Uh-oh, it looks like Ben may have frozen on us. So I think he made a good point when he talked about just, it's not discrediting what other organizations are doing, but each organization leans into a specific area of interest. Ben, are you back?
I'm back. So I'm so glad that you helped me out. I sincerely appreciate that. For those,
stick together.
You stick together. I'm currently in my office, and so apparently we must have had a Wi-Fi taboo situation. So I'm back. Going to the purpose is the development and perpetuation of scholarship, leadership, citizenship, fidelity, and brotherhood. And we stand on those principles, just as each and every other organization stands on theirs. I want to take it a step further and discuss what we specifically do here in California. Well, let me back up. Our national organization has several partnerships. We partnership with the Red Cross. We have a partnership with St. Jude. We have a partnership with the national NPHC, which all of us do with regards to Good Health Wins. I bring up Good Health Wins because you'll see some of my fellow Greeks nodding their heads, because they actually have helped us to be able to make a deeper and more impactful impact in our Black community. Primarily supporting and pushing the efforts of better health. So that is something that I know for my fraternity, and as I sit on our board of directors, that we are heavy about that initiative. I also want to just piggyback. Many of us on this call, since I went second, I'm not used to going second. Since we were founded in '63, when I'm used to being the last one to speak at all the regional meetings. So now having an opportunity to take up time in the beginning, is just delightful. So that is a Greek joke. So for those who are not aware, when you go to public meetings, we typically go in the order in which you were founded. Be it that I was founded in 1963, our fraternity, I have to wait for everyone from 1906 to 08 to go first. And they typically say everything that I'm going to say. So it feels good to finally be in those shoes. To that point, Trena Knight is the president of the NPHC of Los Angeles, and I have the distinguished honor in serving with her on that council. In LA and all of our Greek organizations, it is our charge to come together and work together to push each other's initiative. And we utilize the NPHC, which stands for the National Pan-Hellenic Council, as a vessel to do that. I'm not going to take up my 8 minutes because I know I can be long-winded, but I do want to end with the far west. Iota Phi Theta has 7 different regions, and I have the unique pleasure of actually living in, I believe, 3 of our 7 regions. As I crossed that Central State University, which is considered the Ohio Valley region, that was in Ohio, where I went to undergrad. I've lived in the state of Florida, which is considered our Gulf Coast region, when I lived in Tampa, and now residing permanently in California, well, permanently for now, I'm a part of our far west region. And so as a Greek joke, shout out to all of my deuces. I am a Deuce Club, and I will accept any questions at this time. Thank you for the listen.
Thank you so much, Ben. And we're going to actually leave questions to the end. So we're going to go through all of our panelists first, and just, give everyone a chance so you can have a full understanding of everyone that's speaking, all of our featured guests. And then you can pose your questions, audience, at the latter end of this session. So now let's give some attention to Sidney Jackson Jr. from Phi Beta Sigma. Sidney, what's been the legacy over with the Sigmas, and how are you all active in your community?
Well, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. And my name is Brother Sidney Jackson Jr., and I am the Western Regional Director for Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, which is the highest office in a region that you can hold. So I cover all the states on the West Coast. And before I get started with Sigma, I do want to say that our Divine Nine, the NPHC, we are all partners in doing things for the community. Although we are different organizations, sororities and fraternities, if you look at all of our principles, they have different words, but in a general sense of what we do as partners together, we serve the community, we love each other, respect each other, and we are for the betterment of our people and all mankind for that matter. So I do want to say, although we have friendly, I'm going to emphasize the word friendly competition with each other, we are all one, and we definitely work hard and work together in our endeavors to make sure we are being an example for our people and help our country. So I do want to say that first. And getting specific to the Brothers of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, we were founded on January 9th, 1914 on the campus of Howard University. And I will say there's a couple of distinctions that we have, unlike the other frats or the organizations in general. Number one, we are called Sigmas, which is the last letter of our 3 Greek letters, where everyone else is kind of called their first letter, if you will. And then we are the organization that has a sister organization that is constitutionally bound. And one of the instructions that we are mandated to do as love for our sisters is to make sure that we are continuing to foster and nurturing our relationship with our sorors, Zeta Phi Beta. So shout out to our sorors. Getting into our community. I'll give you specifically some examples. I was born and raised in Los Angeles. I pledged at UCLA in spring of 1989, June 3rd and 12:58 and 15 seconds. And I love my Bruins dearly. And one of the major events that we do in the Los Angeles area is called Toys for Watts. I don't know if any of you guys ever heard of it, but Theta Alpha Sigma chapter in Long Beach founded that event 20 years ago. And they basically, all the Nickerson Garden area and the Watts area, we give toys to the community there. And every single year in the month of December, it's usually around the first or second week, there's over 1,500 people, families, single moms and kids that come to that event. We actually give away toys, we give away blankets, we give away food supplies to the entire community. And it started off from a chapter event, and now it's a Southern California event. So many Sigmas and Zetas, and actually our auxiliary organization of Sigma Betas, the children that we mentor, come because we can all be one family and serve our community. Also, the Taste of Soul. I'm sure you guys have heard of that on Crenshaw Boulevard. We participate in that as well. And what we do when we have a booth there is to give out medical information to our community, particularly Black men, as we're a fraternity, right? So obviously blood pressure, diabetes is really prevalent, heart disease for Black men, because we don't like to go to the doctor a lot of times for some odd reason. But our goal is to make sure we are grabbing those African-American men out of that event, get them the heart information, take their blood pressure. We usually have a nurse there to take blood pressures, because we've discovered that there's been some men with high blood pressure just at that event, and encourage them to go and get checked. So those are the things that we're trying to be very grassroots, right there, invisible in front of our community, particularly in the Los Angeles area, from the example that I just gave and where I live, because I do believe when you are a leader of men and leader of an organization, that you definitely need to lead from the front and make sure you are visible in the area where you live. And I encourage all of my chapter presidents and regional and state officers to ensure that they are doing the same. And I visit the different cities frequently. I got elected in May of last year, and I've visited 7 or 8 different cities so far across my region to ensure I want to know that they are serving and they are doing the things that we are supposed to be doing to help our young people and our community. So thank you very much, everyone. You're gonna do questions at the end, so I'll stop there. Thank you guys, appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Sidney. And we're just going to go straight into the questions. And I just want to give another round of gratitude to our panelists for sharing some very enlightening information about all the work that they're doing, how they're similar, but then also how they're very different, how they've been established at different eras and throughout history. And I think it's important now that we take time for some questions from the audience, right? I'm going to ask Antoine Cook, the Associate Director of AARP California, to help me get some questions for our panelists. So he's going to help field some questions in the chat, just so we can start activating our audience to put some of the questions in there. I know we had a lot of shout outs, a lot of Greek camaraderie happening in the chat. We love to see it all, but we really want to see some questions so we could figure out. And I'll just start with a couple of questions. And I think one of the things that I think is helpful based off of one of our first earlier polling questions is, understanding how chapters are invested in the community and how people can engage with them. So from the illustrious panel, can you let us know how someone might find a chapter near them, depending on the area that they're at? What's the best course for them to look for fraternity and sororities in their community?
If you will, I'll take that, Angela. I believe, and I'll probably speak for all the Greeks here, that you can always find us, obviously, through the internet. You can look up our fraternity or sorority name. I'll just use mine, pbs1914.org, and you can kind of find anything you want about the organization. If you just Google any of us, the information on us will come up. So it's really easy to be able to find anything you want about us and about what we do for the community.
Awesome, thank you. And what was that email again?
pbs1914.org is the international website. I can put it in the chat if you like. Or
yeah, that'll be helpful.
And then also, Angela, just to add on to that, there are organizations all across the U.S. So if you're looking for a specific fraternity or a specific sorority, then you can obviously go to Google and look for one in your particular city, because we're literally everywhere.
Thank you. Thank you for adding that context. And I think Antoine might have a question from the audience.
Yes, thank you, Angela. There is a question. So there's two. I'm going to ask one, and then I'll come back and do the other. One question I was asked earlier was around who can join. One of the Divine Nine, who can join a fraternity or sorority, and she was asking more so about, is it only open to people of color?
So the answer to that is anyone can join. You don't have to be a specific ethnicity. Although our organizations are predominantly Black, you will find that in each organization, there are different types of ethnicities. Now, in order to join a fraternity or sorority, then you would have to either A, join while in college, while working to obtain a college degree, or have graduated with a college degree in order to join an alumni organization, an alumni chapter of a fraternity or sorority. Is there anything else that someone else would like to add to that?
I just wanted to add one thing. We all support our military personnel. And so I know specifically from my organization, individuals who have attained, I believe, an E4 or higher, even if they do not have a college degree, can still join a graduate chapter. I just wanted to add a distinction to that. Again, I don't know if we have any military personnel on here, but I will say with confidence that each organization has their own military affairs department, and they all probably have their own requirements associated with it. But I just wanted to speak to that point, just in case there are any military personnel on the call.
I'd like to add to the requirements for an organization, particularly sorority. We have specific other requirements, such as there's an application process, there's an interview process. We look for specific things such as your community service, your GPA, and other things that you've done within the community. So it's a very rigorous process. So you have to look for when the sororities or fraternities are doing what we call membership intake. And then during that membership intake process, you submit your application, and we make a determination at that time if we're going to actually invite you in for an interview. So it's a little bit more rigorous than most people think. You just can't apply and then just get in. There's other requirements that you do have to meet.
Thank you
And
so much.
one of them also is residency requirements.
Thank
So
you,
say,
Dr.
for example, if you live in South Bay, then we have chapters in that area as well. That would be different than San Diego.
Thanks, Dr. Dudley. We appreciate that added context. Antoine, was there another question that you had fielded from the audience that for the
Yes. Yep.
panelists?
Yes, there's another question in here in the chat from Tia, and it says, how do you select your community health focus? Is it an individual organization decision, or is it selected by the entire Divine Nine as a whole?
So I know, Vennice, you mentioned some of the health or support that you guys did with some of the organizations that you've worked with. Can you provide any context of what that process was like?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, you just put yourself in the community, and people that you see or people come to you. You have to put yourself out there. With the Friends Indeed, we looked them up, and we noticed that they had it's like a women's type shelter. So we just do like hygiene kits for them, but they're special hygiene kits where the bags are decorated, and it's just wherever the need is. Okay, Ben.
So and you'll see everyone shake their heads. A lot of times we take our direction from our national office, and each organization's national office has their own community service or philanthropic areas in which that you have to meet those requirements, right? So I know for us, when I mentioned St. Jude purposely, you'll see all of us constantly during the time when St. Jude is collecting, we're pushing things for St. Jude. When it comes to Good Health Wins, we may have the autonomy to choose what type of a health initiative, but it must be a health initiative in the community. I just wanted to give context. So for the sorority of Zeta Phi Beta, I'm quite confident that some of their mindset was based upon some of their national initiatives that fall under that umbrella. So that's how typically it's decided. I hope I didn't infringe on any other organization's process. I just wanted to add some context that at the end of the day, nationals will tell you what we're looking for, and then you're able to go out as an individual chapter and region and push it, and to bring it all the way home. We have the good brother from Phi Beta Sigma. He is a regional director. So the national office may empower the regional directors to empower their region and with their chapters to do certain community outreach. And that is our chain of command, regardless of the entity or organization, is very similar with regards to communication. Thank you.
I do have a question before we go back to the audience questions. I do have a one that I wanted to ask, which is, do you guys work together? Like, have you, as organizations, done any cross-organizational collaborations?
Actually, I'd like to take that one. Actually, yes, we do. We collaborate all the time. We partner together all the time, whether it's for community service, whether it's, and I'll let Brother Jackson talk about our baseball games or what have you, but we are brothers and sisters. So you may wear different colors, we may shout different calls, we may have different symbols, but when it comes down to it, we are brothers, we are sisters working together in the community. So we collaborate and partner all the time.
And Trena, I'm glad you just said that. In light of that, our fraternity games, the fraternities play against each other during the summertime. And we always include our sororities as well. And we always have a community component to anything that we do. Saying that, we would collect backpacks and school supplies. So we would have Delta Day, Zeta Day, Sigma Gamma Rho Day, AKA Day. In that particular week, the organization would bring the backpacks and school supplies on that Sunday to the game. And we have a competition on kind of who brings the most and kind of give them a little shout out for that. But at the end of the season, we take all those backpacks and school supplies and donate them to various elementary and middle school schools. So that's kind of how we always have fun. We have our little competition, but anytime we do something, we have a collaborative community involvement piece to it, which makes us all work together, which is what we love to do.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And I know we have Antoine has a question in the chat that we kind of skipped over. Antoine, did you want to come in and ask that question?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a question here from Cynthia. Are the organizations involved in civil liberties or involved with civil liberties organizations like the NAACP or Black Lives Matter or other organizations as well?
No one wants to take that?
Go ahead, Trena.
I don't want to hog everything.
Madam President, if you would like, I'll come in and I'll take some of that load off of you, if that's okay.
I love the pleasantries. I love it.
Well, also just a little background. So Brother Izeh and I, we serve on the Pan-Hellenic Council, but I serve as the president. Brother Izeh is also serving as my president-elect or vice president, so to speak. So yeah, all the time.
We, and she's 100% correct. So I just wanted to come in from my president that, yes, we will work with different organizations. I'm going to use the NAACP as an example. So the NAACP may have a luncheon or a scholarship, and we may partner with them by purchasing a table. Or if there's an outreach program, then like the Boys and Girls Club, we'll volunteer regarding community service hours to assist and be hands and boots on the ground for whatever project in which they have. So depending upon the organization and depending upon the situation, the direct answer to the question is yes, we do partner up with other community-based organizations.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. And it looks like we have Sugar Taylor, Mr. Sugar Taylor with his hands up. Can you make sure you unmute yourself, sir, and ask your question?
My name is Sugar Bear.
Oh.
And it's okay. And I'm here representing my niece, who's a high school senior here in Northern California.
It looks like we have a bad signal there. Can you hear us? It looks like you have a bad signal. We have a bad signal with you right now, so we can't hear you. Are you able to type your question in the chat?
Looks like she's driving. Maybe she's driving for a bad
Okay,
area.
can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, my question, I'm gonna say it real quick. Have your sororities, have you, I'm sure you have, but have you all been to the different high schools to present your sororities to encourage our students, our African-American students to attend college? And if you do, how often do you do it? And can you do it more often? Because right now, our children need us, regardless of a sorority, a church, our children need us desperately. And so I'm not saying what you do is not, well, I'm not even gonna say that, but I believe that collectively, if you go once a year, you know, can you go 2-3 times a year? Because these kids need to be encouraged. And so that is my question.
Angela, I'll take that one if you like.
Absolutely, please.
To answer your question, yes. All of our organizations have auxiliary organizations, meaning we mentor children in high school and middle school. My fraternity, for example, has what's called Sigma Betas, and they go children from ages from 8 to 18. My particular chapter in Los Angeles, we have every chapter has to adopt a school, whether it be high school or middle school. Crenshaw High School is the school we adopted this year, and we've been up there this year to talk to those students about college, and kind of they want to ask questions about stepping and all the fun stuff of college, but we definitely talk to them about what they want to do in life, what college they want to go to, and we encourage them and take our students to, for example, the Black College Expo, which just ended a couple of weeks ago to show them about the HBCUs and how you can go to college and how there's money available for you, and consistently doing that because, again, just like you said, our children need us desperately, and that's one of our primary charges as all our organizations are supposed to help our youth. So I hope that answered some of your question.
Did anyone else want to speak to that maybe can share any work that they're doing in the high school level?
I believe Brother Jackson mentioned it. However, most local chapters have youth organizations. And so those youth organizations are comprised of, depending on the organization, it can be high school students as well as elementary students. And so typically an organization, a local chapter will visit the schools in their service area to provide information on how those students can join our youth organizations. And within the youth organizations, then that's where they get support from the local chapter of the fraternity and sorority in a variety of different ways, some of which Brother Jackson mentioned. Other ways can be, college preparation. It can be if it's a young lady, teaching her how to be a young lady, whether it's a young man, teaching him how to be a young man, just different tools, just different opportunities are available. And so I would say for you, Ms. Taylor, living in Northern California, perhaps you weren't on earlier because you were driving, but my recommendation for you would be to Google Black fraternities and sororities in your town or near you, and then you can then reach out to those local chapters in order to gain more information on what programs they have available in your area for the youth as well, in addition to, the organizations going out to the different schools.
Awesome. Well, I know we're wrapping up soon. And so I think this has been a really lively, amazing conversation. I just want to, before we wrap things up completely, I just want to do one last call and check in with Antoine and make sure there isn't any outstanding questions that need answering.
I don't see any in the chat, Angela. So yeah, I think well, you know what? There was one question that I did want to ask, because this was something I know when I was picking colleges and stuff like that, I didn't even think about. Are there Black fraternities and sororities only at historically Black colleges and universities?
Since I didn't go to HBCU, I guess I'll take that one. The answer to the question, there are organizations or at many other universities and colleges across the country. If they're not, let's say if you want to join Phi Beta Sigma and there were no Sigmas there, the alumni chapter, more than likely there's an alumni chapter in the area, and they can actually facilitate activating the undergrad chapter or recruiting on a campus that's not HBCU. So the answer to the question is that we're everywhere. It's not just Black colleges.
Great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And now, Angela, I hand it back to you.
Awesome. And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that, Antoine, because I did have a question too, because we talked about just how these communities are already activated and how, the different alumni can come from either HBCUs or PWIs. But what if I'm an alumni of a Black fraternity or sorority and realize that there is no alumni organization in my community? Is it possible for me to start one? What's that process like if there's a void? Can someone just quickly go through that? We're a little over time, but I felt like that's a good opportunity to close with.
Yes, and yes. If there's a void or if you're not there, there's more than likely there's a chapter of an alumni chapter within 50 miles of it. If it's not within 50 miles, depending upon your organization, if there's a certain amount of brothers or sisters in your particular area, you can petition your national office to open up a chapter there. We each have our own regulations regarding how that looks like, but I'll tell you this much, and they're going to laugh. None of our organizations is going to turn down an opportunity to collect additional funds to further the missions that we all have.
Awesome. Well said. Thank you so much. Well, this discussion has been incredibly enlightening for me. I hope it has been for each and every one of you that's joined us today. But since we're coming to a close of this event this afternoon, let's give a round of applause and thank you. Let's do the reactions and everything and using Zoom, and give a show of gratitude to our panelists, Trena Lee Knight, Vennice Terrell, Bennett, Izeh, and Sidney Jackson Jr. for spending their time today and sharing space with us this afternoon. Thank you so much, everybody. We also want to thank each and every one of our audience members that took time to come out and spend this Friday afternoon with us, for asking some insightful and amazing, thoughtful questions, and most importantly, being an active participant during this event. Now, we encourage you to visit the AARP website at aarp.org/CA. That's aarp.org/CA to learn about upcoming activities, events related to a conversation around historical biases. And that's happening tomorrow at 12 p.m. noon. Part 2 of the conversation with different fraternities and sororities will take place next Tuesday, February 28th at 2 p.m. And there's more to come. So make sure you visit the website, sign up for the newsletters, and stay engaged. This and other conversations about Black history will not end in February. So make sure you visit the site to learn more about all the future events. Now, lastly, we just have one last final poll to take, because we really want to make sure that there was a good understanding and good, insight on what we have shared today. So the first question is, do you know what the term Divine Nine means? Now, I know most of you answered it at the beginning. If you're late, this was one of our first answers. So we're hoping that the percentage increases of those that are informed. So let us know in the poll if it's yes, no, or maybe. Then our second question is, will you look for Black fraternities and sororities in your community? Now, just know that you don't have to be a member to look for these fraternities, to support them, or to be part of their community. You can always be interested in joining, but it's always great to continue on that knowledge base and stay connected with the amazing work that each of these organizations are doing. Listen, I love it. I love it. We have 95% yes for our first question. I love it. And then, yes, all of the yeses are over 90% of each of these questions. And that's what we want to see, right? We want to see that level of understanding and awareness. So thank you all for taking time and participating in our polls. On behalf of AARP California, I'm Angela McCrae from the Association of African American Vintners, and this concludes our event. Thank you so much for joining us.